This is the August 6, 2025 edition of Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast. After a couple of weeks off, we are back and better than ever with ECNL President and CEO Christian Lavers and ECNL President and Chief of Staff Doug Bracken. Today, Christian and Doug welcome one of the truly great people of the game to the show, Ross Paule. Ross is a vital part of a strategic partner with the ECNL, U.S. Club Soccer, led by Mike Cullina. Ross is the technical director at U.S. Club Soccer, who is on the verge of taking scouting to a whole new level, and he will do a lot of that working with the great people and great players of the ECNL. Ross Paule will lead U.S. Club Soccer's talent identification and player development initiatives, including the id2 program and player development program. Established in 2004, the id2 program is a leader in player identification and development as it provides opportunities for elite athletes to be identified, developed, and scouted for inclusion in U.S. Soccer's youth national team program. PDP events hosted by approved leagues and organizations throughout the country, in addition to id2 selections and scouting of various competitions, build a player pool of boys and girls that are scouted every year. Scouted birth years each year are established in conjunction with U.S. Soccer's priorities for youth national team camps. Further to this initiative, with some assistance from ECNL Boys Commissioner Jason Cutney, ECNL will now bring you ECNL U14 Spotlight Games, a collab between ECNL and the U.S. Club Soccer id2 program. This will include 11 different games across ECNL events this upcoming season, 7 boys and 8 girls, best versus best matches with unparalleled atmosphere and environment for the age group. It is simple but very exciting as U.S. Club Soccer wants to expand its talent ID process, and ECNL clubs and coaches want to showcase their talent to U.S. Club Soccer. It's a win-win for all involved. This show will also feature discussions about talent ID and Zone 1 expansion and the hiring of some more fantastic ECNL commissioners. Great show with great people, and it all starts after this message from Nike.
Nike is a proud sponsor of ECNL. Nothing can stop what we do together to bring positive change to our communities. You can't stop sport because hashtag you can't stop our voices. Follow Nike on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
You heard the open, you know what we're talking about, and you know we have a special guest today from U.S. Club Soccer in Ross Paule. But for now, I turn it back once again to ECNL President and CEO Christian Lavers.
Thank you very much, Dean. It's been a minute since we've been on the podcast here, all the way back to the On Scene podcast in Seattle for the playoffs. A lot's happened since then, Doug.
Yeah, it's been a while. That was fun though to do it on site. Fun for us, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a different experience, and then since then we've crowned a lot of national champions at the ECNL, boys, girls, regional league. It's been a really exciting summer, and then everybody takes a deep, deep breath. And then this week, already kicking off the Conference Cup, Girls Conference Cup, powered by Discount Tire, a group of the top 80, 90. What's the number we have in Chula Vista this week?
I thought the number was 90.
90. Might be a little more than that. Players that are some of the best from around the country coming in for a couple of days of representative competition, playing with best against best from all over the country, which is a very nice little segue into what we're going to talk about today. So kudos to all the Conference Cup players and having a great experience out there, powered by Discount Tire. But now we're going to introduce our guest for the day, Ross Paule. Ross?
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is exciting to be on.
I think is this the first appearance?
This is the first appearance.
All right. Well, this is a big moment then for all of us.
We might get a couple more listeners with like Ross's family will probably jump in and start to listen.
Yeah, we're going to expand viewership. Hopefully you got a big family.
I have a large family. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so you know how we do it in the South. So
I love that. That's really we're going to see a spike in listenership this time.
I love that. Jacob, you got to be ready to analyze the stats from Tennessee and that area code, see if we get a bump.
I've already
So
got the satellites locating.
Yeah. Counting on Ross here.
Ross, I guess we should start with a little bit of background on you. Obviously, you go back as a player. Are you a 76? Do I remember that for some reason?
You are correct, 76.
I'm a 76 as well. I think we crossed paths. You know, your path went a lot higher than mine, but at ODP back in the day, was
Yes.
Tennessee, what region was Tennessee in? Region two, three?
Or
Four. All
three.
right, yeah.
Maybe
Maybe
three or four.
not.
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe I
Three, I
just know
think
your
region three, maybe.
maybe
Region
just
three,
know your
region
name
three
from
sounds
then.
better.
But obviously great player. Maybe you can give a little background on that. Went into the MLS, then longtime coach at Creighton University, where
Hmm.
I know my old club in Wisconsin, had a lot of players go play for you in
Yep.
Creighton. Um, but
So did
let's
there was an Ohio League player that played for him as well. We talked about it before you came on, Christian.
all right,
Correct.
there we go.
Yeah.
All right, we could ask which ones were better prepared, and we could have a death over that, a death match on that, but that's probably not appropriate.
We had talked about that before you came on the call already, so
Oh,
asked,
okay.
asked
So,
and answered.
all right. All right, Ross. Well, why don't you give us the 20,000-foot version of your background in the game? We skipped the FIFA part, but we'll let you tell the tale.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, thanks for that. But I've been a part of the game in every way, really, starting from the bottom, grassroots player, just going, working my way up, trying to navigate my way through it. It was a very different time back then. Navigated through ODP, ended up going to Creighton University, which everybody was shocked because I was a part of that U17 national team mix, and you can go anywhere, but ended up going to Creighton. I just felt like it was the best place for me to develop and achieve my dreams. I wanted to be a pro. I didn't even know what that meant back then because Major League Soccer wasn't even going yet until the end of my career at Creighton. So I left Creighton early. I actually left after 3 years. I wanted to move on. I wanted to get into an environment where I was challenged, and not just challenged, but in an environment where I wanted to achieve what I wanted to achieve, which is to play professional, which was to play for our country. I didn't get to play for our country officially. I was called into camps with Bruce Arena, just never got the nod to get in there. But I had a good career playing. I had a 10-year career playing in Major League Soccer, which is a good career. I had to retire with post-concussion syndrome, and then I wanted to get back in the game quickly. I just didn't know where. So from my perspective, I wanted to earn my way as a coach. What I thought about doing that is going back to the very beginning. So I started my own youth academy at the grassroots level in Memphis, Tennessee. So I worked my way from being a grassroots to building my own academy, and then moving into Creighton University for 9 years, which was great, going back to the place that I played and helping build a program there with the culture that I got to grow up in, and who helped shape me into the person and player that I am. Um, After that, I ended up leaving Creighton, and I got an incredible opportunity to work with FIFA, with the FIFA talent development scheme. Not many people have heard of it, but it's really a talent identification program globally. The whole mission behind it was to give every talent a chance, no matter where you're born. So it was an incredible experience to go into this group that was led by Arsene Wenger, which was pretty incredible. But it was the people that I was around that I got to see how things were done in other countries, what they focused on, what was important, the development pathways that they had, how do they achieve what they're achieving now, and to be a part of that group and to go into developing countries and help build their talent ID and development structure and preparation was unbelievable. And then I got this opportunity here with US Club with id2. And to tell you the truth, it is very similar to what FIFA's scheme was to give every talent a chance. And and we'll get into the id2 perspective of it, but that's what I'm thinking now is how can we widen the pool in the United States, and now here we are today. So I've been a part of the game and every level, but to me it's just about learning from every one of those because they're all so different. From being at the college to professional to grassroots, it's all so different, but very important in the pathway for a player.
So ID2, a little background. ID2 is an Olympic development program. Some people associate that acronym ODP just with USYS because of historical reference, but it's actually a designation from US Soccer. ID2 is an ODP program, which it means it's in theory on the identification pathway for the Olympic teams and the national teams. Been a really, really strong and powerful program for a long time. The biggest problem with ID2 has been that it's only been in one age group, which is under 14, which the genesis of ID2 was to provide an identification mechanism for US soccer to help with identifying players for the first national team age group, which was under 14. Hence, that's where ID2 focused and then sort of left off. One of the primary principles of ID2 is that it's free to participate. There's no charge to participate, which has been that way since its beginning and through today. What's really exciting, and I'll turn it back over to you to once I summarize this, but about 2-3 months ago, U.S. Club Soccer announced a ambitious expansion of ID2 to include over the course of several years many new age groups, which means it will become much more of a pathway, allow a much bigger impact on players than it is when it is a single year program. And then when players kind of graduate out, that's it. So Ross, do you want to talk a little bit about the expansion of ID2 from an age group perspective and why and how that's going to be done?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really important is the principles. Those principles are still in place, that it's open to anybody, no matter the U.S. soccer affiliation. There's no cost to the players. That separates ourselves as an ID2 program from many of the others. But number one is when you have a talent ID program, you have to have a scouting network. So the number one thing that I'm focused on right now is building a scouting network, and the goal behind that is we want to widen the reach. We have to have more scouts out there widening the reach and partnering with programs that we're going to talk about with the Spotlight game. But to me, talent is everywhere. Opportunity is not. So we need to have the scouts that go out there and find that talent and give the opportunity to those players and find those players that maybe U.S. soccer is not finding. There's many of them. Our country's huge. So I'm building that network, and it's all about building the relationship with our leagues, with our clubs, with our coaches, and finding the right people to be our ID2 scouting network. Going into what your topic or what you're talking about is, it always was just a 1 year program, a U14 program, which it was great. You know, you look back at the players that have come through the program are not just any little players. I mean, like Pulisic, Adams, Rodman, Mallory Swanson are a few of those that have come through ID2. But talent ID is not just a 1 year thing. It's not a tryout and you make it. It's a longitudinal program. You have to look at these players over time. So we weren't doing our country and these players the service that they need to develop in the right programming by just having a 1 year program. So this first year, our focus is the U14s, 2012s, but also the U13s. We're scouting U13, U14 right now. U13 is basically to build that pool or to discover those players. And then the 2012 age group is discover those players, which U.S. Soccer, like you said, their first programming is U14. So we're running this program. It's parallel to what U.S. Soccer is doing, but we are trying to find more players. We are trying to find players that fit into the youth national team, but also there's a big pool right on the outside of that. And the outside of that, we want to focus on that pool to get them in there. So our focus right now is the 2012s, U14s, discovering those players. We'll have a scouting program from now all the way through January to where we're going to select 102 players for the boys and 102 players for the girls for our interregionals at Chula Vista. Again, amazing place for us to bring in all those players to where we were able to find those top players that we see as high potential players. But now, after our national selections event in the 2012s, which we're building, we're not going to be ending the program. Now this program is going to go to U15. And what makes that really important is as you get older, the pool narrows, especially with U.S. Soccer. With U.S. Soccer, they're going to choose their 60 players to go to the national camp. There's a lot more players on the outside of that I think we can find those players and we can serve those players to help develop them to hopefully get them that chance. Yes, Christian.
Yeah, and to your point, and you hinted at this, and I want to dive a little deeper on the scouting piece in a minute, but the I guess the academic phrase is the nonlinear nature of talent development, right? And so if U.S. Soccer is focused in on 60 players in an age group or whatever their number is, as the pool it does narrow as you get older. There are also, that doesn't mean it doesn't change, of people coming in who develop later and people that drop out because for one reason or another they may not be their potential may not be as high as it was once thought to be, and you end up with. I think part of this is trying to mitigate the negative effects of early selection and early deselection, right? So that by id2 expanding to more age groups, so that kids that may not be bubbling up, another colloquial phrase, but may not be bubbling up at 14, but at 15 or in a couple of years, 16, have developed to a point they don't find that the door to walk through is so small and narrow because there hasn't been hasn't been a mechanism to identify them, and two, there hasn't been a program for them to take a step into and then shine in that program to get into that US Soccer 60 or so. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's a fair statement, and that's so true that players develop at different rates. I think one of the in my mindset in when I'm scouting, you look at the what you can see. You can see the technical side. You can see the game understanding. You can see the player's attitude, mentality. You can see their winning mindset of trying to be effective. You got to wait for the body. The body will catch up. It all comes equal as time goes on. I don't know the exact age. Some people say it's at 18. Some people say at 20. I don't know, but eventually the body will catch up, and there will be the equality there. And so when we deselect players, we may be deselecting one of those players that are could be one of those our future top players. And so in order for us to widen the pool, we got to look at id2 also as could be a U.S. Soccer reserve program, a futures program, to where we're not trying to find the same players. If we find id2 players at any of our scouting events and they get into the youth national team, that is amazing. That is amazing. But there's going to be more that are in that group, like you said, the in-out group. There's going to be players that make one camp but don't make the next camp. There's going to be players that don't make the first three camps but could make that camp. There needs to be something for those players to continue to be challenged with the best with best environment, because our country, again, we have a large pool, a really large pool.
Well, and then with that, and correct me on if I'm wrong on this, but with an extended program over multiple years, and so I think the short version is you expand to 2000 to U15s in a year, U16s a year after that, so it's sort of this staircase up, so that the kids coming in at U14 or that birth year this year will have this programming for the rest of their youth career, really. And that also gives your staff and the people, coaches and scouts that are working with them the ability to partner with that player and their clubs as they're coming in and out of other things to have some consistency in terms of an IDP maybe, or some additional feedback on their development beyond just their club and the programming that if you are deselected or you're dropped up from a national team, there's something there to give you the extra best on best type of competition to hopefully act as a trampoline and push you back up,
Mhm.
whether that's to a national team or even to a pro team for that regard. But is that something in your thinking as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta look at that these players are going to grow at different rates, and you gotta really make sure again that we're evaluating these players over time in multiple environments to where we get to see what does their progression look like. We have to see, okay, that we saw this player at U14. Potentially we could be looking at this player, evaluating and monitoring and tracking and evaluating this player over the next 3 years. And so we can see progression there, or we can see regression, or we can see no development. And then you got to start thinking, are they in the right environment, or are they just not intrinsically motivated? So I think one thing that also that you get to see when you evaluate players over time is you get to see the intrinsically motivated players. You get to see talent is really not just born; it's developed, and you get to see those players that put in the effort at home starting to show up on the field. You get to see that maybe they're in a great environment with their club and their coach and their environment of competition, and you just see they're in a great environment and they're progressing. So that's a big thing with adding age groups is how incredible is it to think that we're going to have not only the 102 players that we select for interregionals, we're going to see thousands of players at events to where we're going to have evaluations on them. There'll be some players in that 100 that don't get selected to the 102 that we'll see in the program the next year. We'll see players in that. So it's about every evaluation that we see we get to see, are they progressing? Are they in a good environment? And are they players that need to be in that top pool with best and given that opportunity to develop, like you said? Because again, if you narrow the pool too much too early, then I think we're leaving too much on the plate there. I think we have so much talent, potential talent out there to develop in the right environment to where id2 that's our sweet spot. We need to be the ones that are widening the pool, elevating the level of that talent pool, and partnering with the clubs. Like you said, that is a huge part of development is giving feedback, giving honest feedback, and that's what an IDP is. IDP is getting to know first, number one, what does a player want? Do you want to be this? Okay, now I can hold you to the standards of this within your IDP. And then it's also about giving feedback to the coaches. This is what we saw. This is what we see. We played your player in the left back position, and she was just unbelievable at that spot. And I saw a lot of potential from her in there. Think about that, maybe. I mean, it's not telling them what to do. It's just telling you the experience that they had with best with best. You look at when I'm evaluating players again, um, I look at what all the core skills that you have to have to ensure that you're going to be successful. And I'm sure we could talk about that forever about what do you need at each age and stage to move up. And it's those core skills. That's the foundation that you have to have at a young age. But as you get older, it's about what do you do with those skills. So you're perceiving on the field all the time. What do you see? You have to make decisions, and then you have to have the execution. You look at those three things are the pillars of development. Of you have to be able to execute in multiple ways certain skills. That way, you have more tools to have more decisions and more ideas. So perceiving comes later on. The decision making comes when you have the tools to make decisions. So we need to start with the execution. So now I'm looking at this player is really good or is exceptional at dribbling in tight space, but they're not able to get their head up and play the ball out in this position. So anytime a team comes against them, they're going to know that the head's going down. We're going to go defend this player. they have to have more tools, more of those core skills to be able to continue to progress along the way. So to me, that's a roundabout way of looking at an IDP. How can you find a way to give that player focus on their exceptional qualities? How can you give them more tools, more skills, the abilities on and off the ball to be more successful, especially when you get to a higher age, when you have to be adaptable, versatile, and deal with team
Yeah,
scouting
I
you.
mean, what I like about this, and Doug, you may have a comment on this. I like the fact that this is going to be expanding the pool of players in the country who are getting this type of experience, programming, and exposure. Because I know scouting is notoriously subjective, and there's everybody tries to make it more objective, but it by its nature, when you're trying to predict talent, it is really, really difficult. And so expanding to include more people mitigates the risk of missing somebody. And I think also can sometimes tend to get wedded to their early selections and some sort of proof of expertise. And so I love the concept, and maybe it's a little bit risky to say it, but I love the concept of id2 selecting sort of a secondary national team, national selection that can be looked at in comparison to a federation selected national team. Because there's, again, nothing, we talk about competition all over the place. Competition is what at the heart of improvement and development. So competing with another group of players, I think, to showcase themselves and push everybody is a really, 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 really great thing.
I guess my question to that is, obviously for that to, work in some ways, there's got to be some relationship with US Soccer and and how much you guys are talking and connected might not be the right word, but can you talk a little bit about those conversations?
Yeah, well, I mean, that communication started a long time ago. When I first got this job with id2, I knew we have to have a tight connection to what US Soccer is doing. We're aligned with them in the US way, where we look at the key qualities that they're looking for. So everything that they're looking for from their evaluation process and how they identify players, it's the same. It's the same. It's going to be different people that are in it. We're not going to be working as a U.S. Soccer trying to find for U.S. Soccer. We're looking for again those players that we believe, whether U.S. Soccer believes it or not. We're going to select those players. We're going to be selecting players that we believe will end up fitting into the U.S. Youth national team at some point. And then, by the way, there's a small percentage that make it to that. So we also want to help all these players become their personal best, and that could be a high level college, that could be professional, that could be going to another country because they're dual citizen. So we need to look at what ID2 also can do. But to your question though, I feel we have a great relationship moving forward with US Soccer Talent ID because we are working a program parallel to them. Like I said, with U14, we're both starting building the depth charts, a large depth pool. We're even starting at U13, like I said, but U14 together. At the end of this year, there's going to be a huge pool that US Soccer found, that ID2 found, that some of them will end up in US Soccer youth national team and their U14 national camp because they're going to scout our interregional. They could select, I mean, out of the 102 players, I hope they select 60. It's not going to happen. But if they did, you know what? I think there's another 40 players, 20 players on top of that that we can select and move on to our national selection, which we're working on our national selection event too, which I'm even working with US Soccer about can we do a parallel camp with US Soccer with the US U14 national group. Can we do one parallel to that? Same city, same place. Don't know how it looks, but we're having those conversations at least. Whether it happens or not, we're having those conversations because in the end, like I said, we are going to widen the pool.
Well,
Uh,
and there's no substitute for actually doing it. And I want to talk about how you're going to widen the pool because scouting is a whole nother issue. I mean, it is, you can't overstate how many more scouts are necessary in this country because of the size and the scope than what U.S. soccer has. And everybody talks about that a lot. One thing U.S. Club is doing with this expansion of id2, which is a very expensive expansion because again, one of the principles is the players aren't going to pay for this experience. The second principle of id2 is that they're selected from their home environments in scouting, right? And so investing in a really broad base of scouts that do have expertise, that do have experience. And listen, I'm going to say I don't think to be a scout you need to have a PhD in, athlete development. I think there's some training necessary, but I think our country would do a lot of favors for itself to get more scouts rather than make the scouting pathway harder. You're doing that. You're building a robust scouting network. Again, similar to what the Federation is doing, but it's going to be a very, very different group of people that will identify some of the same players, some different, and then will help them, matriculate up the pathway as they get older. But talk about the scouting network and what you're doing, and then we can pivot into Spotlight and how that plays a role in it because we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about talking about that. But the scouting network is all about a relationship. It starts with speaking to people that you trust and making sure that you're being connected to the people that are in our soccer community already, that are coaches, that are directors, that are past players, that are just graduated from college and want to get into the game, and that scouting, you're right. I mean, if you have passion for the game and you played the game at a decent level, or you're driven to learn, it's all about speaking the same language and making sure we have a common idea. What is our benchmark? Together, what are we looking for? What does talent look like? So from my standpoint is I'm looking for the right people. They have to have integrity. That's the number one thing that with me when I'm meeting with the scouts, we are going to do this with integrity because it's all about the player. It's the player first. This has nothing to do with that club, or whatever. It's about trying to help a talent that you find or we see and get them to progress along their way and hopefully have a little joy along the way, finding a way into it. So building the scouting network has been fun because I've connected to some people. Like I said, I've been a part of the game for a long time. So there's been some people that have been in the game for a long time that have been scouting for us, and there's some new young scouts. But the key is, do they want to be a scout, and do they want to learn, and do they want to do this for the right reason? And that's with the integrity, with professional conduct, knowing that we are doing this for the player. And again, this network is growing rapidly. And coming into like what we're going to talk about next with the Spotlight game, there will be many scouts at those games that you're going to start to see. So I'm sure we'll talk about that.
All right, before we get into that conversation about our new Spotlight program, let's hear from our sponsors. Mark Pro, did you know ECNL provides free recovery sessions? ECNL has partnered with Mark Pro, a staple for recovery in professional sports. Mark Pro is a unique, safe, portable e-stim device that feeds sore muscles and removes metabolic waste. Stop by the recovery zone during your next event. Soccer.com is a proud partner of the ECNL, and it supports the continued development of soccer in the U.S. at the highest levels. They've been delivering quality soccer equipment and apparel to players, fans, and coaches since 1984, living and breathing the beautiful game ourselves. The goal at soccer.com is to inspire you to play better, cheer louder, and have more fun. Visit soccer.com today to check out our unmatched selection of gear, expert advice, and stories of greatness at every level of the game. And Discount Tire. Want the same expert advice from the pros at a Discount tire store while shopping online? Meet Treadwell, your personal tire guide. Whether you're driving to practice or game day, Treadwell gives you tire recommendations based on your vehicle, location, and driving habits. Get matched with the perfect tires so you can stay focused on the goals that matter most. Shop with Treadwell at discounttire.com.
All right. Let's pivot to Spotlight and how that program will fit into this. And I think we got to give Jason Cutney some credit on this for this idea and pushing this forward and then having discussions with you, Ross. But Spotlight is a program we are launching in the ECNL, boys and girls, regional league as well, that will be really, it'll be a standalone awesome experience for these 13 and 14-year-old players, and it'll be integrated into the id2 scouting process and program to get these players involved in that program. And what it is at our existing U14 and younger events, on day one of those events, usually a Saturday, occasionally a different day, but on day one of those events, Ross, you will be leading a team of scouts that will be at every field where the relevant age group is playing. So every player in that event at the targeted age group will be scouted in person by an objective scout, and by that we mean somebody who is not involved with their club or a rival club, but a neutral person will look at those players. There will be an opportunity for recommendations to be sent and film and that sort of stuff for players ahead of time. But on site on day one, every player will be seen. The night of day one, a group of players, 30, 36, somewhere in that range, depending on where we think the level is. By we, I guess I should say you, because you're going to be leading the selections, not us. There will be a group chosen to play under the lights in the Spotlight game on day 2 of the event. So this will be a unique experience for these kids to get a best on best, really exciting and inspiring environment of having the lights, the uniforms, some profile pictures, things that some people may say, okay, that's marketing, but we look at it as inspiration to say, hey, the better you get, the more fun this sport can be. So keep training and working hard. But those players that are identified on day one, they'll also get to play with their club on day 2, so they're not missing anything. They'll play in the Spotlight game on day 2, and from the Spotlight game, some of those players will be invited into your interregional camps, and then we'll go along the process of the id2 program. You talked about that with Jason way back at the stage of coming up with these ideas. What do you want to add? What do you want to add to that about the Spotlight and what you're excited about with that?
Well, I mean, from a talent ID perspective, it doesn't get better than this because it's going to be consistent. We're going to see the multiple events at this, so it's convenient, obviously, for id2 to where we're coming in to where some of the best players in the country are playing all in one place. And like you said, it's going to be bias neutral. So from a talent ID perspective, what stands out to this is talent ID starts with the clubs and the directors who work with the players on a regular basis. That's why we do the recommendation process. We respect what those coaches, what those directors are saying about their players. They're going to give us recommendations. I just got them today for our first event. So the process behind this is that recommendation. Now I get to assign to my scouting staff. Okay, these are the recommended players. Now we need to find ways to watch these players. And another thing with id2 is we're embracing video technology, AI, in order for us to get a good evaluation or get a good idea who are these players and what does the team look like? Because we're not just looking at just the recommended players. We're looking at the team. We're looking at the players around them. We may select a lot of the recommended players, but there may be players that are not recommended that are standing out because of what we saw in video. Because, like you said, we get to see them all on day one. So scouts will see them on video day one. And what's even better is the players that we select. Now we get to see them in another environment. like I said, it's we get to see these players in a comfortable environment with their club. It should be because they know what's happening there. Now they're going into an environment where there's a lot of really good players around. You get to be coached by a new coach. You get to be in an environment where people are watching under the lights. That's experience that these players will never forget. And not only never forget, but it's something that is going to be part of their development process. Some of them, like you said, will move on to that next level in interregionals. We'll move on to that. There'll be some that we'll see again in future spotlight games or a part of the program or with U.S. Youth National Team. But that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the opportunity for these players, first of all, to go into an environment and be scouted, everybody in that age group getting scouted, and then players getting chosen to play in another environment. And again, it's something that I know these players will always remember, and it will help part of their development because every experience they have at a higher level, the next experience gets a little bit easier. You get a little bit more confident. You get a little bit more um, confident in yourself that, okay, I can do this. Or I saw a player over there. You know what? That player was really, really way above me. Now I have a benchmark. Now I get to see, oh, there's a gap right there. Maybe I need to do some more work on my own. So now I get to see the benchmarking between players. Again, you get to see the intrinsically motivated players that get to be involved in that. So, yeah, when I spoke to Jason about this a while ago and he told me his vision behind it, we just started discussing it back and forth. And it's just been progression from there. But I expect nothing but great things to come from this. Obviously, it's a new event at the for the youngers. I think it's only going to grow. I think it's only going to gain traction. And also at that spotlight game, U.S. soccer will be there. I'm sure there'll be professional academies there. I'm sure there'll be many scouts that are looking at these players. So what an incredible opportunity that they're getting with this ECNL spotlight game.
Well, and that so the spotlight is an ECNL property. It's going to happen at all our events, which also, by the way, is a way to keep costs down because the players are already there, and we're adding something of high value to a trip, a game, and a weekend that's already planned, paid for, all that sort of stuff. And obviously, no cost to participate in the spotlight game either. And that'll be really cool. But the ECNL is a big part of your scouting because of the level of clubs and players in it, but it's not the only one because you were doing this at the NPL finals this summer in
Mhm.
Colorado and at the National Cup. And you'll be doing it scouting at other events because this, as you said earlier, it's not about, I mean, we complain about this a lot, in other conversations. It's not about scouting only one league. That's not the way to develop the best talent, identify the best talent. It's about having a wide scope. So why don't you talk about the other places that you are scouting because you want to have a wide net that collects players, as you said earlier. I think you said talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a great opportunity for us to go straight into the NPL finals. It was right after our announcement came out to go directly into the NPL finals. And by the way, we asked for recommendations there. We got over 60 plus recommendations. We got to scout every single one of those players, which in turn got to scout thousands on top of that, just from having multiple scouts out there watching every game. We got to watch every game for the U14. So the NPL is a good place to start. We at each one of the NPL leagues, some of them have player development programs, very good player development programs, to where we will go in and scout at events that they already have. It's like NorCal is one. They have a great PDP program, and they have an interregional where they bring in their best in one day to where it's convenient and it's going to be to where it's consistent level of play to where we get to go to one location and scout all of the players, the highest potential players in the NPL. So we work within the leagues of NPL, but the scouting network is where it gets really interesting because our scouting network isn't just from one league. These are scouts from that are in multiple leagues. They're in from Major League Soccer, from GA, from all over MLS Next. I mean, it's just there's scouts out there that are involved in other platforms to where, okay, now they know what the talent looks like in that area. We have scouts that are just going to be focused on their local area. We know that there's some programs out there that just don't travel because they don't have the funds to travel right now, or they don't want to. So we are going to try to go find those clubs, those communities that don't have that opportunity to be scouted. I know there's multiple of them out there. I've already spoken to them. So it's just about the communication to those other platforms and being partnering is not the right word, but more like just
Well, I
communicating
think
to
you're
the.
being intentional to include players from a variety of different competitions and a variety of different leagues, and then you're going to pick the best from wherever they come, right? But
Mhm,
as opposed to, I mean, the criticism of talent ID in some places, are you finding the best players or are you finding the players where you're looking? Right?
mhm,
And listen, there's always going to be a rock that is not turned over. That's you're never going to be able to prove that. But there is, I think, a really viable question of are people being intentional enough about expanding where they're looking for players, or is there a narrative driving player selection? And we don't need to go too far down this political landmine. But what I'll say is this is not, by the way, U.S. Club's ECNL sanctioning body. But this is a U.S. club program paid for by U.S. club. Your scouting network is going to be picked by you, right? And
right.
just like players are recommended, scouts are recommended to you, but you will pick and manage those players. It is a significant investment, and I give great credit to U.S. Club for bringing you on, first of all, as a full-time person solely in this space. Okay. Which is what it takes. It takes somebody who wakes up and thinks about this all day, every day. And then to expand the network of people that are recommending players, because that's another thing. Again, if you look, and I think it's a fair criticism that there have been too many obstacles put in front of people who want to recommend players, people who want to scout, people who want to be a part of helping players move on. And instead of embracing that, there's a lot of people who just put obstacle after obstacle in front of
Mhm.
that. You know, whether you call it, overburdening them with requirements or just deselecting the scout. And you're
Right.
opening that up. And at the end of the day, what comes out of this will be a whole parallel scouting network to invest in a whole new set of players. And if everything is perfect in a utopia that doesn't exist, what this does is expand great programming for great players that are just outside the national
Right.
team. Well, we know we're not in utopia. What this is going to do is it's going to catch more players that were left out that are going to get an opportunity and maybe will bubble up. And for players that were brought into a national team and then get dropped out, this will be hopefully a trampoline to help them move back. And this will be an investment in people scouting in areas that, quite honestly, haven't had that resource provided to them in the past.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the things that really drew me to this job was the investment that US Club is putting into this program and the purpose behind it. Like we said, the principles have not changed. We are sticking with those principles, but yes, our goal is to widen the pool and make sure that we truly are widening the pool. And the scouting network is the number one thing that we have to continue to build. This is an ambitious program. This is not something that is just going to be all daisies from the start. This is something that is going to be challenging, very challenging. We're going to run into those walls that you're talking about. There's going to be walls there, but we got to stick to what we know that we can widen the pool. We can give more players an opportunity. We can find more players. We can build a scouting network that reaches areas where we're not reaching in our country, or just look, like you said, looking in those places where others are not. We need to make sure that we're very intentional about how we grow and not try to do too much too fast, but hold ourselves to the standards and the goals that we want. We believe we can widen this pool this year. We believe that we can be a part of developing the talent that pool and making it a higher level talent pool. So yeah, I mean it's an ambitious project, and it's one that I believe in. I
So,
do
so
want.
let's vision cast, Ross, to
Okay.
close this out, and then Doug, we
Well,
can
hold on.
talk.
I do want to ask one question here. Talk about, because I think we can all hear what you're saying and you're passionate, but the real challenge is what's your plan to expand the scouting network? And how do you go about that? And then the training of that scouting network so that people are generally looking through the same lens.
Yeah, I mean, building the scouting network again, it's making sure that we're not just accepting anybody and everybody, but we're doing vetting along the way. We're making sure that we're finding the right people and continuing to build on top of that. It's growing rapidly just from finding scouts that I'm assigning to these ECNL Spotlight games. I'm telling these, meeting with this group and doing the education side of it, which I'll get to, and they're thinking, "Oh wow, I have this person, this coach over here, this one over here. They need to be involved in this program." So really, it's growing organically, from the inside out. All these scouts that are now in our network are calling me and telling me, "You need to speak to this player, this scout, this scout, this scout." Obviously, there's only a certain amount of time in the day, but I speak to them all individually, and I want to know, why do you want to be a scout? Why does this make sense to you? And this is not just these are not volunteers. These are scouts, or scouts are going to be paid by id2. So they're actually going to be contracted by us to go into these events. So they're doing a service for this. They're not just going in and just to be a scout. There's a purpose behind what we're trying to do, and these scouts will know that. Once they're signed on as a scout, we have education. We lead up into each event. We have regular education on what is it, like I said, what is talent? That's the number one thing, and what are we looking for, and how are we looking for that together? What is the benchmark? And what are the biases? There's so many biases out there, and you're always going to have them, but you just got to be aware of them, and you gotta know what all those are, and that's all about everybody having the same mindset and making sure we know what we're trying to do is common language, common purpose. So building that scouting network is huge for us right now.
All right, can I do my vision casting?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
because I want to sum this up for everybody. Is 5 years from now. Okay, and you tell me what I'm missing. Tell me where, you add to it. 5 years from now, you got an ID2 program that ranges from U13 to U18. You got programming at every step that includes international competition as you get older. It includes domestic competition and camps when you're younger. You got direct comparisons as a national B team with the age appropriate federation team to check the level of competition and the size and scope of the player pool. You have the ability to compare outcomes in scouting networks over years and to see who comes in when and where they come from. You have as you just mentioned, another way of educating scouts, another program to educate more people on how to scout effectively. You have a broader pool of scouts, so you're getting more data in that's got to be filtered appropriately, but you're welcoming the data and getting it in from a more robust set of scouts. What am I missing?
I mean, you really said it right there. It's going to be, each year is going to have a purpose behind it. The big thing for me is in 5 years, we have programming in place for each age group with purpose at each age and stage, what's important for them at that time. We are building programs to make sure that we are giving experiences, not just domestically, but internationally, where we're competing against the top level clubs in Europe or South America, whatever we decide is best. But vision casting and the joy behind, not the joy, it's the purpose behind it is when we do track all those players, say this 2012 age group, in 5 years from now, seeing all those players that were involved in the program and seeing where they are now, seeing them with the youth national team, seeing them with another country playing with their country, seeing them playing professionally, seeing them continuing to progress in the sport. But yeah, it's going to be about we have that our youth national team, and then what do we have on the outside of that to support the group that's on the outside of that? And once we get to the point of these players, which in 5 years would be getting close to that U17 World Cup, how many of those are involved in something like that that may weren't with the youth national team at then, but they were with our reserve group that found their way into that. Those types of wins are what I'm looking for. Is the player. What did the player get out of this about being a part of this program in a small way, a big way? Is it going to be a part of their pathway to whatever their best is? Because like I said, some are going to, very small are going to make it there, but there's other pathways. So if we're able to impact a large group of players as they grow up in our program, then we're doing our job, and we've made a massive impact on the U.S. soccer ecosystem.
So this is awesome. So congrats on the job. Congrats on the work to get it to this point. It's just starting in many ways, but the first Spotlight game is August 23rd in New Jersey, I believe. And we have 15 or so Spotlight games scheduled throughout the season all over the country. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be seen by your scouts and then selected into those games and sort of matriculate up, which is going to be great. This from an ECNL perspective is the beginning of Doug, if you have a comment on it, it's the beginning of our focus as we get a little bit younger and we look at what can we do to impact the development and competition environment of 13, 14, and then even zone 1. Obviously, we've just hired 2 pre-ECNL commissioners who are going to be focused in that zone 1 area. And that's not about making, players in zone 1 out to be professionals. It's about looking at that environment that needs improvement. It needs better quality. It needs things that inspire players more. We're going to be leaning heavy in on that over the next 6, 9, 12 months. Spotlight is at the tip of it, just out of zone 1, U13, U14. But I'm excited that we're a part of this. I'm excited that we're supporting what you're doing, Ross, and integrating into it, because the more people aligned and moving in the right direction together, the more effective we're going to be.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would second that. Yeah, working together is the key. All right, well, Ross, what you didn't know coming on is, unless you listen to our podcast regularly, which I'm sure you do.
Which you should. I mean,
so I'm probably
crime not to.
Saying something you already know. Is the end is the Bracken Brain Buster. That's where I ask a question. Dean is the name. He named this segment the Bracken Brain Buster. It's kind of grown on us. We'll have to say that. So, and it's a varying myriad of questions that might come up. But today I'm going to go with. We just finished another year, 16 years, Christian, of ECNL. Who would have thought 16 years ago that we would be here? But here we are. And so now I want to kind of look forward. And a good buddy of mine on your birthday, if he happens to be in your presence, will always ask you some questions. And one of them is, what are you looking forward to this year? And I know we just talked a lot about Spotlight and all that stuff, but I will pose the question going into year 17 of the ECNL. It doesn't have to be ECNL related, but what are you excited about in the coming year? Christian, you're going first today.
I'm going first.
You are.
Wow. Well, I think with
besides working with me for another year.
Of course, and getting to know our buddy Dean at an even deeper level.
Yes.
I guess from a league perspective, I'm really excited with the new commissioners we've hired and the ones that have been moved up as we've transitioned that to have 6 commissioners of the league, ECNL, Regional League, pre-ECNL, each gender. I think it's a really, really talented group of people that are going to provide a lot of ideas, a lot of service, and do a lot of things to help make our league better and our league in how we can support the clubs. So I'm excited about the growth of that department specifically as we go looking into Zone 1. And then, personally, I got to go personally too.
You can, it's your world. We're just living in it.
I'm trying to schedule some more like mini breaks, like a
Okay.
long weekend, or a family day, every month or six
Where
weeks or
you will
something.
not be on any calls and stuff like
Well,
that.
just trying to prioritize and balance a little bit more because I think that I got kids at this age, man. Everybody tells me it goes too fast, and I'm starting to feeling that already. So I'm trying to make sure I don't, look back and say, man, I wish I would have not had that one extra call with Doug Bracken, and instead I would
Yeah.
have gone to SeaWorld with my kids.
Yeah. Don't go to SeaWorld. We can talk about that later, but you know, putting a big fish in a tank is not very nice. I don't think. Fish have
Well,
feelings too.
there's
All right,
less predators.
let's go to Ross, our esteemed guest.
Yeah, I mean, this year is a really big year. It really is for myself, to be able to lead an ambitious program like this. But what I look at, what I want to see at the end, I try to wrap my head around what is that. But the big thing for me is the team that I'm building right now to have the influence that is going to be a part of this program that I'm already building from the scouting network, from the coaches, from partnerships like this. When you go through a really tough and challenging year, it's the people that you always remember that helped through that process. And to me, I think about what is that team going to look like, and I'm excited to see what that group is going to be like, and what we're going to do, because in the end, that group of people is trying to impact the player. And I just really am excited about that whole process, even though it's going to be a very difficult process, and it's going to be about the people that makes it successful or not. And we got to choose those right people. Um,
By the way,
Personally,
Ross, I'm looking forward to watching you professionally agitate the scouting system.
yep,
Very,
that's going to
very
be fun
professional.
because that's going to happen. It already is happening. Um, uh, with the right people.
Yes.
Um, But yeah, personally, it's just all about family for me. I have all three of my kids are out of the house, and one of them's married. They're all over the place in different states now, and for me, I look forward to getting us all together because it doesn't happen enough. And yes, Christian, it goes way too fast. It really does, and you only realize it you'll realize it now because I mean, it's just it goes fast, but. No,
Before you know it, your
excited.
grandfather.
It's not going that fast.
Before you know
No,
it.
yeah, yeah. I'm not a grandfather yet, so could you never know. It
Soon
could
enough.
happen this year too. So
Yeah.
that'd be the highlight.
Yeah, soon enough. All right, that's good. All right, Jacob, what do you got?
Well, I think for the ECNL this year, I'm really excited to continue to expand our external PR outreach. That's something that I kind of oversee, and we've already seen dividends through it at the playoffs and finals. I'm really excited to kind of take that under a full year. And then personally, my wife and I bought a house back in March, and so I'm really excited to actually have a full year under our belt here. We've made some improvements already, but really kind of make it our own and just spend time here.
Just get ready for unexpected maintenance costs,
Well,
Jacob.
we're already there. The sump pump in the basement was not on our bingo card for 2025.
Snake fences and whatever. Yeah. All right, Dean, bring it.
First off, I do want to say that when Ross Paule talks about integrity, he means it. I had the great honor of calling him when he played for the Colorado Rapids, and he played with integrity on and off the field. So, Ross, congrats on all your success. I feel like you definitely deserve it. As relates to an answer to the Bracken Brain Buster, it's simple. As you all know, my entire career was framed around the 1994 World Cup. The World Cup's coming back. It was also framed about meeting my wife, who will be the head of delivery for the World Cup. So I think it's going to be an incredible year in so many ways. And the fact that I can play a little bit of a role with the ECNL as it continues to develop beyond that, I'm honored by all of it. So thanks for the question.
So are you the one we go to for tickets?
That's what I was just getting ready to say. Dean is on speed dial.
If you got a thick wallet, Christian, yeah, I'm the one to go for tickets.
I don't need Linky level tickets. I need like just a step below Linky level.
That's right. We don't need the whole hospitality. I just need to be in the building.
Yeah, just get me in.
All right. I will go with I look forward to continuing to work with the ECNL staff. I'm always super excited to see the people that we have and how they grow and all the new things that we do and how they kind of execute on all the ideas that we have and we make them quick and fast. So I'm always super proud to be part of that staff and just see those guys work. And then personally, World Cup is a huge one for me too, Dean. Really excited. I went to some games in the '94 World Cup when it was here. Didn't know if I would ever see that again. So I'm super excited to go experience that with my kids and the family. And just keep getting out there, taking some trips, seeing the world when I can, with all those guys. So that's it. A lot of you guys had very corporate answers, which I was proud of. We also got the personal end. So that's the Bracken Brain Buster for this week.
All right. Well, Ross, appreciate having you on. I'm sure we'll have you on again if you're willing to go back through this experience. And Dean, it's been a while since we've seen you, but looking good. Looked like you just came off of the beach.
Well, definitely some pool time.
All right.
Speaking of bleach, by the way, Ross Paule, when he played, we called him powder. He had bleach, blonde, white
Yes, he did.
hair
Yes,
when he
did.
played. It was pretty awesome.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? For the next one, we'll have a photo ready, or maybe we can get a photo of that for the Instagram push.
That's right. It affected him so deeply that he decided to go with no hair.
That's right. Actually, it actually fell out because I bleached it too much. So.
Fair enough.
Great to see you, Ross.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jacob.
No, thank you. It was awesome.
Thanks, guys.